On Christmas Eve 2008, Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, consumed by rage and bitterness over a messy divorce, arrived at his ex-wife's family Christmas party dressed as Santa Claus. What should have been a night of joy and celebration turned into an unimaginable tragedy as Pardo unleashed his wrath on the Ortega family, leaving 9 members dead in his wake. The victims, spanning 3 generations, had gathered to share the holiday spirit when Pardo stormed into their Covina, California home. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Pardo knocked on the door of his former in-law's house, which was occupied by about 25 people. He carried a gift-wrapped package containing a homemade flamethrower and multiple handguns. When his 8-year-old niece answered the door and went to greet Santa, Pardo immediately shot her, seriously injuring but not killing her. He then opened fire on the rest of the family. Survivors of the massacre later reported that Pardo moved methodically through the home, targeting his former in-laws, Joseph and Alicia Ortega, as well as his ex-wife, Sylvia Pardo, and her siblings. Some victims were shot at point-blank range, while others were struck as they tried to hide or escape. Several people managed to run out of the house, but others were not as fortunate. After leaving at least 3 victims dead and 4 others injured inside the home, Pardo unwrapped the package, retrieved his homemade flamethrower, and used it to spray fuel throughout the house. Police believe the fire was intended to be ignited with a flare, but when the fuel contacted an open flame in the house, there was an explosion that left Pardo with 3rd-degree burns on his arms and legs. After the massacre, Pardo had a plan to escape. He had rented multiple vehicles and parked one near the house of his ex-wife's divorce attorney, filling it with supplies and maps of the Southwest and Mexico. Police speculated that the attorney might also have been a target. It was later revealed that Pardo had also planned to kill his own mother after the massacre, as she had sympathized with Sylvia during their divorce proceedings. Despite his extensive escape plan, the explosion had left him badly injured, and instead of fleeing as intended, Pardo changed out of the Santa suit and drove to his brother's house in Sylmar, California, approximately 30 miles away from Covina. When his brother, who was not home at the time, later returned, he found Pardo dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the home. Back at the Ortega home, the fire, fueled by the gasoline, quickly consumed the house. When firefighters arrived, the bodies of the victims were found burned beyond recognition.
He's shooting! He's shooting!
What's your address? Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address.
The caller identifies herself as Letitia and says the gunman is her ex-brother-in-law, Bruce Pardo.
When he shot, I heard the shots and they were like poppers and I wasn't sure what it was, so everyone started panicking and running, so we all dove under the dining room. Some of us dove, some of us left, I don't know.
Letitia and her wounded 8-year-old daughter fled to a neighbor's home and called for help.
My daughter's been shot. She was shot in the face on the side and she's bleeding.
I know, I let the officers know. The officers are making sure it's safe for the paramedics.
I need a bandage, please.
Her daughter is one of 3 injured survivors.
Please come immediately.
What is in your house?
Immediately.
Just this afternoon, police named the 9 people believed killed. They include Pardo's ex-wife, her parents, her sister, her 2 brothers and their wives, and her nephew. The victims were so badly burned, they will have to be identified by dental records.
I don't know who else is surviving.
I know, ma'am. Just stay on the phone with me, okay?
My whole family, there's 30 people, 25 people.
I know.
It is believed that at least 3 victims' deaths were caused by gunshot wounds alone, while 4 others died from a combination of both gunshot wounds and fire, as some were still alive when Pardo set them on fire. The motive behind the massacre is believed to stem from the divorce, which had been finalized just days before. Just months earlier, the court had ordered Pardo to pay $1,785 a month in spousal support, and only a month later, he was fired from his job after being caught committing fraud. This financial strain, coupled with his obsession with getting back at Sylvia, most likely drove him to plot the Christmas Eve massacre.